Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to another exciting video, where we'll be shedding light on National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. The National Executive Committee (NEC) of the African National Congress (ANC) is the political party's highest decision-making body in between its party conferences. It serves as the primary executive organ responsible for leading and governing the ANC, directing the party's policies, strategies, and overall operations. The NEC is elected every 5 years at the ANC's National Conference and consists of 87 members, including the party's top officials, such as the President of the ANC, Deputy President, Chairperson, Secretary-General, 2 Deputy Secretaries-General, and Treasurer-General known as the Top 7. It also elects a National Working Committee (NWC), which takes on the day-to-day operational responsibilities of the party. Welcome to the next segment, where we explore composition and its significance in our journey. Members of the NEC must have been paid-up members of the ANC for at least 5 years prior to nomination, and at least half must be women. The NEC consists of top 7 President, Deputy President, National Chairperson, Secretary-General, 2 Deputy Secretaries-General, and Treasurer-General, 80 further members, ex officio members, comprising 2 leaders from each of the ANC Women's League, ANC Youth League, ANC Veterans League, and 9 ANC Provincial Executive Committees, and up to 5 additional co-opted members. The size of the elected NEC was increased to 56 members, including the top 6 at the 48th National Conference in 1991, and then to 66 members, including the top 6 at the 49th National Conference in 1994. During apartheid, the NEC had been smaller and of a less consistent size, sometimes dropping below 10 members. It was enlarged again to 86 members at the 52nd National Conference in 2007, which also introduced the gender parity requirement, and further enlarged again to its current size of 87 members at the 55th National Conference with the introduction of a second Deputy Secretary-General. Another significant change has been the extension of the term of the NEC from 3 years to 5 years, following the resolution of the 1997 50th National Conference to reduce the frequency of national conferences to twice a decade. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of election process to reveal its true essence. Until 1985, members of the NEC were not appointed by election, but rather were appointed and seconded on a much more ad hoc basis, at the discretion of the leadership. In recent years, however, members of the NEC are elected by secret ballot at the ANC's National Conference under clear rules. The top 7 is elected separately, usually before the election of the rest of the NEC. Let's now shift our focus to nominations and explore the ways in which it shapes our perspective. Nominations for the NEC and top 7 emanate from the local branch level. In the run-up to a national conference, every ANC branch in good standing holds a branch nomination meeting, at which, provided it is quorate, it may nominate 1 individual for each of the top 7 leadership positions and up to 20 individuals for the other 80 NEC positions. Nominees must receive the support of 50% plus 1 members present at the meeting, and at least half of the NEC nominees must be women if necessary. The names of the lowest-ranked male candidates must be removed until gender parity is achieved. The official branch nominations are consolidated at a Provincial General Council meeting, and the 250 nominees who received the most nominations become the provincial nominees for the NEC. Gender parity remains a condition at the provincial level, and women nominees are graded on the list if necessary to meet it. The individuals who received the most nominations for the top 7 positions become the provincial nominees for those positions. At the National Conference, the lists of provincial nominees are consolidated, along with the lists of nominees from the leagues, which hold nomination conferences in the same way as the provinces. The availability of nominees to stand in the elections is confirmed, and all voting delegates are also allowed to propose additional nominations from the floor at the conference, although such proposals only succeed if 25% of delegates support them. As we enter this new phase, let's analyze campaigning from different angles and evaluate its significance. Although since 1994 the election of the NEC has often been preceded by considerable political maneuvering, the ANC has a long history of valuing democratic centralism and collective leadership, and overt campaigning for internal leadership positions is frowned upon. This attitude is encapsulated and promoted in a discussion paper adopted by the National Working Committee in 2001 and reviewed in 2021, titled Through the Eye of a Needle: Choosing the Best Cadres to Lead Transformation. The paper warns that electoral processes should not tear the movement apart, and that it is a matter of profound cultural practice within the ANC that individuals do not promote or canvass for themselves. Historically, this has justifiably been frowned upon as being in bad revolutionary taste. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore Revolutionary Council from a different angle. In 1969, while based primarily in Tanzania, the NEC established the Revolutionary Council, which focused on both political and military aspects of the internal anti-apartheid struggle. Notably, the Revolutionary Council included several leaders of the ANC's military wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe MK, this in a period in which the NEC was limited to blacks, Africans only, while MK leadership and thus the council included several whites, Indians, and Coloureds, especially from the Communist Party. Although it was located under the NEC, the council had considerable power. From around 1976, it was responsible for two subordinate structures: the Internal Political Reconstruction Committee, focused on the South African political underground and internal propaganda, and MK Central Operations HQ, focused on internal armed struggle. The Revolutionary Council was chaired by ANC President Oliver Tambo throughout its lifespan, and other members included with approximate dates: Yusuf Dadeu, Peter Dlamini, Steve Dlamini, John Gatesu, Job KB, Chris Haney, Joe Gel, Moses Coton, Moses Mabida, Secretary Mac Mahar, Simon McKenna, Johnny McAfee, Cassius Make, Tennyson McEwen, Robert Mansi, JB Marks, Andrew Masondo, Jacob Masondo, Joe Matthews, Secretary Thabo Mbeki, Joe Modis, Ruth Mompati, Florence Moposho, John Moshabi, John Kediming, Duma Nokrumsway, Pilaso, Godfrey Pure, Robert Resha, Jackie Sidib, Reggie September, Gertrude Shope, Sizzle, Sigsish, Joe Sovo, Bogart, Sos, Lennox, Shlee, Peter Shkud, Jacob Zuma. From around 1976, there was also a Revolutionary Council structure in London, chaired by Yusuf Dadeu and including Jack Hodgson, Ronnie Castles, Aziz Pahed, Reg September, and Solly Smith. In this section, we'll be deep diving into Politico-Military Council, unraveling its complexities and uncovering valuable insights. In 1983, the Revolutionary Council was replaced by the Politico-Military Council (PMC), which became the executive arm of the NEC in relation to all matters pertaining to the conduct of the political and military struggle inside South Africa. This followed a meeting of all commanders and commissars in Luanda, at which concerns included the intensification of internal struggle and coordination between the military and political aspects of struggle, with greater political control envisaged over MK activities and strategy. The full PMC met monthly, while its executive committee or secretariat met weekly. The 1983 restructuring also led to the establishment of other bodies under the NEC. At least two of these, the Political HQ replaced by the expanded Internal Political Committee in 1987 and the Military HQ, fell under the ambit of the PMC and were represented in the PMC. ANC intelligence structures were also represented, and the PMC was responsible for coordinating the activities of these three wings. The PMC, like many other ANC structures, was dissolved before 1991 during the transition to democracy in South Africa, which brought the unbanning and return from exile of the ANC, as well as the de-escalation of MK activities. Like the Revolutionary Council, the PMC was chaired by Tambo. Members included Idris Hani, Joe Gel, Ronnie Castles, Moses Mavida, Mac Mahara, Cassius Make, Andrew Masondo, Joe Modis, Ruth Mompati, John Moshabi, Joel Neshitenzi, Joan Leonard, John Kadiming, Thomas Kobe, Alfred Zomes, Wade Piliso, Reg September, Sissical, Sig Sish, Joe Sovo, Steve Schwitt, Jacob Zuma. The London-based PMC was led by Aziz Pahad and Wally Sarot. In this section, we'll be exploring National Working Committee. Soon after each national conference, the newly constituted NEC appoints, at least in recent years, by election a smaller National Working Committee NWC, which implements NEC decisions and oversees the daily business of the ANC, including in the provincial branches and in Parliament. Some members are appointed full-time and have specific party responsibilities, while others hold other political offices. The NWC consists of top 7 additional members, not exceeding 1/4 of the directly elected NEC, around 20 members, and 3 ex officio members, comprising 1 representative appointed by each of the ANC Women's League, ANC Youth League, and ANC Veterans League. As in other ANC structures, at least half of the members must be women. Other ANC members may also be invited to attend or participate as non-voting members. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting current members and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. The current NWC was elected on 29 January 2023, following the next first meeting after the 55th National Conference. It will serve until December 2027. In addition to the top 7, the members are Imam Moloko Kube, Barbara Creasy, Enoch Godonwana, Tina Jomet Peterson, Zizi Cod, Ronald Lamola, David Molobo, Pemi Majidina, Thandi Modis, Saibonjil Bessani, Stella Nabini, Abrahams Mumasenin Tuli, Anji Mosheka Senzo, Makunu Mondali, Gungable Muyuziman, Pegin Kanyeni, Thembin Kadiming, Nonsabamoy Tumma Joan Chavini. In this part of the video, we'll be delving deeper into National List Committee and analyzing its key components. The National List Committee reports to, and is appointed annually by, the NEC. It is responsible for the selection of ANC candidates for the National Parliament, and it also oversees and regulates the provincial selection processes. The committee was established following amendments to the ANC Constitution by the 50th National Conference in 1997, prior to which the parliamentary selection process had been less centralist. As we progress, let's zoom in on other subcommittees and examine its role in shaping our overall narrative. The NEC is responsible for several other subcommittees, which are primarily staffed by NEC members and whose composition is agreed by the NEC early in its term. Important is the National Deployment Committee chaired by Deputy President David Mabuza, which was established in 1998 to implement resolutions of the 50th National Conference, which endorsed a policy of ANC cadre deployment in the public service and key centres of power. Other NEC subcommittees include the Economic Transformation Committee chaired by Finance Minister Enoch Godonwana, the Elections Committee chaired by Fikil Mbalula, a National Disciplinary Committee of Appeal chaired by Nombala Mokunyan, and over a dozen others. With the groundwork laid, let's now examine National Executive Committee and its connections to our previous discussions. In 1960, the ANC was banned in South Africa, and much of its leadership had been arrested, especially during the treason trial and later the Rivonia trial. The ANC therefore set about re-establishing command structures in exile from a new base in Tanzania. Leadership President Albert Lafuri died 1967, then Oliver Tambo acting Deputy President, Oliver Tambo Secretary-General, Duma Nokwa Treasurer-General, Moses Coton. Members Yemi Haid, Moses Mavida, Johnny McAtheny, Ambrose Makiwan, Tennyson Makiwan, J.B. Marks, Joe Matthews, Joe Modis, Thembam Toto, Mendim Zimang, Thomas Kobe, Alfred Nzomes, Way Piliso, Robert Resha, Mark Shope, Dantlum. As we progress through this video, let's now turn our gaze towards National Executive Committee. The NEC was appointed during the 1969 conference in Morogoro, Tanzania, the ANC's first in exile. The NEC was not elected by the party's membership and, as indicated below, it co-opted additional members after 1969 as the leadership saw fit. Leadership President, Oliver Tambo Acting Secretary-General, Dumanokwa until 1969, then Alfred Nzo Treasurer-General, Moses Coton until 1973, then Thomas Kobe. Members Joan Gatesu co-opted, Joe KB co-opted, Jimmy Hague, Chris Haney co-opted, Joe Gell co-opted, Moses Mabida, Simon McKenna co-opted, Johnny McAfee, Henry McAfee co-opted, Ambrose McEwen expelled 1972, Tennyson McEwen expelled 1972, Robert Mancy co-opted, J.B. Marks, Andrew Masundo co-opted, Joe Matthews, Thabo Mbeki co-opted, Joe Modis, Florence Moposho co-opted, John Moshabi Thembam Kota expelled 1972, John Kadiming co-opted, Mzwe Piliso, Robert Resha, Tom Sabina, Dandloom, Jacob Zuma co-opted. In the next phase, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of National Executive Committee and exploring its real-world applications. The NEC continued to be appointed without elections over this period, and its composition changed very little. Leadership President, Oliver Tambo Acting Secretary-General, Alfred Nzo Treasurer-General, Thomas Kobe Administrative Secretary, Joan Lena from 1978. Membersative Dlamini Job KB Chris Haney from 1980, Joe Gell Moses Mabida Simon McKenna Johnny McAfee Robert Mountsie Andrew Masondo Thabo Mbeki Joe Modis Florence Moposho John Mushabi John Kadiming Dumanokwa died 1978 Mzwe Piliso Gertrude Shope Jacob Zuma. Brace yourself for an enlightening exploration of National Executive Committee as we dive into its profound implications. The NEC was elected in May 1985 in Kabul, Zambia, and was the ANC's first fully elected NEC. In 1990, the ANC was unbanned and held a National Consultative Conference in Johannesburg, the first official meeting between exiles, underground members, and formerly imprisoned members, at which leaders who had not attended the Kabul conference reaffirmed the composition of the NEC as elected at Kabul. Leadership President, Oliver Tambo Deputy President, Nelson Mandela Secretary-General, Alfred Nzo Treasurer-General, Thomas Kobe. Members Henny Joe Gel Palo Jordan Ronnie Castles from 1987 Hermanus Lutz Moses Mabida died 1986 Mac Bahar Simon McKenna Johnny McAfee Cassius Make died 1987 Henry McAfee Robert Munsey Thabo Mbeki Francis Melly Sindisom Fenina from 1987 Joe Modis Ruth Mompati Tony Mondello Florence Moposho John Mushabi Godfrey Ngwenya from 1987 Joan Leonard John Kadiming Aziz Ped from 1987 Jackie Sedib from 1987 Jackie Selibi Reggie September Gertrude Shope Sizzle Sixes Squire Joe Slovo Dandloom Steve Schwick Jacob Zuma. The spotlight now falls on National Executive Committee as we delve deeper into its details. The NEC was elected at the ANC's 48th National Conference in Durban in July 1991. Nelson Mandela was elected ANC President, replacing Oliver Tambo, who had suffered a stroke in 1989 and stepped down after 24 years as president. As indicated below, the NEC voted to co-opt 5 additional members after 1991, in order to fill vacancies arising from deaths and resignations. Leadership President, Nelson Mandela Deputy President, Walter Sisulu Chairperson, Oliver Tambo died 1993, then Thabo Mbeki Secretary-General, Cyril Ramaphosa Deputy Secretary-General, Jacob Zuma Treasurer-General, Thomas Kobe. Member Skeda Usmal Fosamal Bota resigned Cheryl Karras Jeremy Cronin Ibrahim Harry Gwala Chris Haney died 1993 Josiah Gel co-opted Palo Jordan Ronnie Castles Ahmed Catherine Moshuo Lakota Soki Makozoma Penul Maduna Mac Mahara Rocky Mulban Metzing Winnie Mandela Trevor Manuel Gil Marcus Barbara Masika Thabo Meki Raymond Lebubbleton McCree Andrew Manini Joe Modis Peter Mokaba Popo Molf Ruth Mompati Valley Musa Elias Mozzoladi died 1994 Mendim Zimang Sydney Mufamadi Billionaire Sister Bernard Nkub Joel Neshite Inzi Jonah John Kadiming Sankin Kondo co-opted Charles Nkakua co-opted Sifini and resigned Alfred Nzodala Oaziz Ped Albi Sachs resigned Reg September Gertrude Shope Albertina Sisulu Zola Square Joe Slovo Marion Sparg Arnold Stoffel Raymond Sutner Steve Schwick McQuays and Izuu Nkosas and Zuma co-opted. Members of the National Working Committee. With that being said, let's now move on to National Executive Committee. The NEC was elected at the ANC's 49th National Conference in Bloemfontein in December 1994. Well represented are former Robben Island prisoners, as well as trade unionists and other former leaders of internal anti-apartheid structures, such as the United Democratic Front, who joined the ANC following its unbanning and returned to South Africa. 4 additional unelected members were recruited onto the NEC after 1994 to fill vacancies arising from resignations and deaths. Leadership: President Nelson Mandela, Deputy President Thabo Mbeki, Chairperson Jacob Zuma, Secretary-General Cyril Ramaphosa until 1996, then Cheryl Carolus, Acting Deputy Secretary-General, Cheryl Carolus, Treasurer-General, Arnold Stoffel. Additional members: Skada Usmal Sibusiso Benguthosa Mulbota resigned, Jeremy Cronin Thokudidisa co-opted, Chris Dlamini co-opted, Ibrahim Ismail Ibrahim Alec Owen Freen Ginma John Gomamo resigned, Harry Gwala died 1995, Derek Hancom Limvo Hani Banto Holomaset expelled 1996, Luli Johnson Palo Jordan Ronnie Castles Ahmed Kathra Balik Gozit Sal Mojuro Lakota Bridget Babanla co-opted, Soki Makozoma Penor Maduna Mac Mahara Winnie Mandela Trevor Manuel Mavidi Manzini Nisabawa Mapusan Kakua co-opted, Gilmarcus Moses Maekiso Tito Mawini Raymond Labableton McQueen Joe Modis Thandi Modis Peter Mokaba Ruth Mompeti Valley Musa Lyndon T Thinjum Tinso Sydney Mufa Madisaba Nebel Joel Neshite Enzi Smuts Ninyama Joan Nanakal Nihouse Sanking Kondo Charles Kakua Bladenzamand Alfred Nzodala Omar Aziz Pahed Esep Pahed Jeff Raid Sam Shilo resigned, Stella Sika Max Sisuzola Squire Joe Slovo died 1995, Raymond Sutner Adelaide Tambo Steve Schritt Tony Yeninin Kosas and Zuma. Ex officio member Swinny Mandela Women's League Nisabai Mapusan Kakua Women's League Louis Johnson Youth League Mvo Legre Youth League Malusi Jigaba Youth League Geku Ramath Lodi Northern Transvaal Collins Chiba Northern Transvaal Popo Molf North West Nalini Duma North West Matthews Fosa Eastern Transvaal Soliswan Eastern Transvaal Tokyo Sex Wall Gouting Paul Mashatil Gouting Jacob Zuma KwaZulu Natal Senzo Makun KwaZulu Natal Patmatissa Free State Kaiser Sebathalo Free State Mandipiko Northern Cape William Steenkamp Northern Cape Dumasanima for Eastern Cape Wanganede Xilish Eastern Cape Chris Nissen Western Cape James Gill Western Cape. Members of the National Working Committee. As we transition to the next segment, let's unravel the mysteries surrounding National Executive Committee and gain a fresh perspective. At the ANC's 50th National Conference in Mafeking in December 1997, Thabo Mbeki was elected Mandela's successor as ANC President. After 1997, as indicated below, 11 additional members were co-opted onto the NEC. 5 were co-opted in February 1998, soon after the conference, and the other 6 were co-opted later to fill vacancies arising from resignations and deaths. Leadership: President Thabo Mbeki, Deputy President Jacob Zuma, Chairperson Moshuo Lekota, Secretary-General Gulma Motlanthe, Deputy Secretary-General Thenjum Tinso, Treasurer-General Mendy Mzimang. Additional members: Skada Usmal Sibusiso Bengu Collins Chaban Frank Chikone Jeremy Cronin Philip Dexter Thokudidisa Mandipiko Jesse Duarte Ibrahim Ismail Ibrahim co-opted 1998 Alec Owen Geraldine Fraser Mulrikiti Freen Ginwala Enoch Godonwana Derek Hadcom Limfo Hani resigned, Paolo Jordan Ronnie Castles Balik Gozit Sal Jomo Kosu co-opted, Bridget Mabandla Soki Makozoma Penor Maduna Mac Bahar resigned, Dumasini Makatha Bang Makwetla co-opted, Winnie Mandela Trevor Manuel Mavivi Manzini Nisaba Mapusan Kakua co-opted 1998, Gilmarcus resigned, Kenneth Mashigo Dlamini co-opted, January Masala co-opted, Amos Basundo Ivy Matsep Kasaburi Tito Mbawini resigned, Smangaliso Makachas Waim Hais Thumsal Lambonjikid Joe Modis died 2001, Fendi Modis co-opted 1998, Peter Mokaba died 2002, Popo Molf resigned, Yobuma Wikiti Valley Musa Sankin Thembi Mahanyel Sydney Mufamadi J Yusubid Nebel resigned, Joel Neshite Enzi Smuts Ninyama co-opted, Joan and Le Charles Kakua Bladenzamand Alfred Nzo died 2000, Dullah Omar Aziz Pahed Esep Pahed Dipu Peters co-opted, Jeff Raid Cyril Ramaphosa Ngoka Ramat Hodi resigned, Bazama Shilo Stella Sika co-opted 1998, Lindai Sisu Max Sisu Zova Square Mantoshabalam Zimang co-opted, Steve Schritt died 2002, Tony Yeninin Kosas and Zuma. Ex officio members Nelson Mandela Balthable Dlamini Women's League Malusi Jigabed Youth League Ficum Balwit Youth League Popo Molf North West Sifine Gwinia North West Fish Molalam Pumalanga Lucas Mello Pumalanga Castle Muffle Limpopo Ngoka Ramafloli Limpopo David Makara Gouting Subindibel KwaZulu Natal Sifu Kabash KwaZulu Natal Patmatissa Free State Ace Megashore Free State Nibble Mumpati Northern Cape Mackenzie Stoffile Eastern Cape Humphrey Maxigwina Eastern Cape Abraham Resor Western Cape Sebisi Squasher Western Cape. Udzovazkan Balfun Tombas and Abota Winky Dirico Dirk Du Toit Cheryl Gilwald Lindy Hendricks Rejoice Mabutafasi Titus Mafoo Nafina Kumembathasim Galadlan Amandisim Holwa Lawrence Mushron and Nully Panda Goku Ramat Hody Noses Madlala Routledge Susan Shabangu Inverserti Toin Egenheisen Lucky Mabasanafmanana. Members of the National Working Committee. In the next phase, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of National Executive Committee and exploring its real-world applications. The NEC was elected at the ANC's 51st National Conference in Stellenbosch in 2002. The conference effected no change to the senior leadership of the party, except in the position of Deputy Secretary-General. 2 additional members were co-opted into the NEC to fill vacancies which arose after 2002 when 3 members died and 1 resigned. Leadership President, Thabo Mbeki Deputy President, Jacob Zuma Chairperson, Moshiro Lekota Secretary-General, Gulma Motlanthe Deputy Secretary-General, Sankin Thembi Mahanyel Treasurer-General, Mendim Zaimang. Additional members Skader Usmal Collins Chuban Frank Chikone Jeremy Cronin Philip Dexter Fokudidis Aman Dipikun Kosazan Adlamini Zuma Jesse Duarte Abraham Alec Darwin Geraldine Fraser Moakiti Malusi Jigabafrin Ginmala Inc Godonwana Derek Hankum Palo Jordan Ronnie Castles Bridget Mabandala Soki Makozo Mapenor Maduna Dumasani Make died 2004 Thabang Makwitla Winnie Mandela resigned Trevor Manuel Nisabo Mapasan Kakua Beatrice Marshoff co-opted Amos Masundo Ivy Matsep Kasaburi Mavidi Manzini Balikambit Membathasim Ladlana Smangaliso Makachos Waim Kais Famzal Mlambon Chikafani Modis Popo Molf Yobu Molakiti Bali Musa Thenjum Tintso Sydney Mufamadi Joel Neshat Enzi Smuts Minyama Charles Kakua Bladens Mandala Omar died 2004 Aziz Pahed Esa Pahed Nuddy Panda Dipu Peters Matthews Foza Jeff Raid Cyril Ramaphosa Ngoka Ramat Hodi Susan Shabangu Stella Sega died 2006 Lindai Sisulu Max Sisulu Zola Squaya Manto Shabalam Zaimang Ahmed Sobuko opted Tony Yingini. Ex officio members Nelson Mandela Fikal Mbalui Youth League. Members of the National Working Committee. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting National Executive Committee and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. The NEC was elected at the ANC's 52nd National Conference in Polokwane in December 2007. Incumbent ANC and National President Thabo Mbeki was defeated by Jacob Zuma in the vote for the presidency. After 2007, 3 members died and 6 resigned due to defect to the newly founded Congress of the People. Only 3 of those vacancies were filled by co-opting replacements. Leadership President, Jacob Zuma Deputy President, Gulma Motlanthe Chairperson, Balikumbet Secretary-General, Guidman Tash Deputy Secretary-General, Thandi Modis Treasurer-General, Matthews Foza. Additional members Noza Bello Ruth Benguniami Bui Lynn Brown Rosemary Kapabiki Seal resigned Collins Chuban Jeremy Cronin Kosas and Adlamini Zuma Bathabal Dlamini A and Adlodlo Jesse Duarte Ndolini Duma Ibrahim Malusi Jigaba Enoch Godonwana Derek Hankum Hazel Jenkins Tina Jomed Peterson Palo Jordan Thomas Akonlo died 2008 Charlotte Loeb resigned Janet Love resigned Bridget Mabanla Rejoice Mabutafasi David Mabuza Noses Madlala Routledge resigned Dixley Gadzi Ace Madashort Gomeso Mega co-opted Saibon Jolman and Winnie Mandela Trevor Mon Wellness by Mapasam Kakua Billy Masset Joyce Mashamba Fumalo Masor No Thado Mayan Sibia Ficum Balola No Manium Vekitos Welling Kais Nombala Mokanian Ellen Moekin co-opted Joyce Moy Moropa Valley Musa resigned play for Moral Angie Moshega Mathal Moshega Aaron Motsoladi Senti Thembi Mahaniel Jackson Thabunathi Thethwa Thenjum Tintso Thabamu Famadi Sabinebel Joel Neshite Enzi Mating Kona Mashaban Nosifan Twanambi Sifini and the Bladensman Nali Panda Joe Follow Feed Pocketed Gordina Pule Jeff Raid Cyril Ramaphosa and Goku Ramat Hodi Tokyo Sexual Susan Shabangu Sislo Shichika died 2012 Lindell Shope Mafal resigned Linda Sisulu Max Sisulu Salome Sifal co-opted Zoa Scraya Makinksi Stofile Thandi Tobias Sisi Toish Mantoshabalam Simang died 2009 Su Van Damerwi Fikelxa Genini Tony Yenini Linda Zulu. Ex officio members Nelson Mandela Thabo Mbeki. Members of the National Working Committee. In this chapter, we'll be unraveling the enigma of National Executive Committee and discovering its transformative power. The NEC was elected at the ANC's 53rd National Conference in Mangang in December 2012, and Jacob Zuma was elected ANC president for a second term. 4 members were co-opted onto the NEC after 2012 to fill vacancies arising from deaths. Leadership President, Jacob Zuma Deputy President, Cyril Ramaphosa Chairperson, Ali Combet Secretary-General, Gwyd Mantash Deputy Secretary-General, Jesse Duarte Treasurer-General, Zwelin Kais. Additional members Bapano Isabello Ruth Bengulin Brown Rosemary Kapabiki Seal Collins Chuban died 2015 Say Bunga Quill Rob Davies Thokudidis and Kosas and Dlamini Zuma Bathable Dlamini Sidumo Dlamini Ayana Dlodlo Beauty Dluan Ibrahim Ismail Ibrahim Lamid Kabash Malusi Jigaba Ink Gobawan Pravin Gooden Derek Hakum Tina Jermit Peterson Paolo Jordan resigned Zizi Copper Dipper Letsetsi Duba Pure Mabe Sissy Mabe died 2014 Rejoice Mabutafasi Noke Mafidically Magazzi David Molobu Fickle Majola Winnie Mandela Jane Mangani Kebi Muffet Sonisa Biomapasan Kakwa Philly Mapulan Billy Masset Joyce Mashamba Sam Mashanini Fickle Mbalua co-opted Tito Mbawini No Medium Fikita Originum Hall co-opted Humphrey Mimizi Numvala Mokanyan Pinky Mokoto Edna Molwa Joyce Malloy Moropa Pinky Malloy Angie Mosheka Mathal Moshega co-opted Aaron Motsoladi Senkin Thembi Mahaniel Jackson Thumbanathin Thethwa Thinjum Tinso Sibinibel Joel Neshite Enzi Mate Kona Mashaban Digil Quinty Sissin Tumblr Nosifon Twanambi died 2014 Thuas and CZ Blade Zaman Mildred Oliphant Nadi Panda Dipper Peters co-opted Joe followed Jeff Raid Goku Ramat Hodi Miriam Sigaba the McQueen Rosina Seminia Susan Shabangu Lindai Sisulu Max Sisulu Stone Sizanin Sebisi Scrasha Sisisi Toish Pam Shutsu Van Da Merby Fickle Sisatoni Yinini Senzini Sokrana Lindai Zulu. Ex officio member shown Block Northern Cape Zamani Seoul Northern Cape Fumalo Marswell Eastern Cape Oscar Mabuyan Eastern Cape Mary S. Fransman Western Cape Jonal Sunjazo Western Cape David Mabusam Pumaanga Luckin Denisam Pumaanga Paul Mashatwil Gouting David Makara Gouting Supra Mahuma Palo Northwest Cabello Matabobe Northwest Castle Marthal Limpopo Soviet Laganian Limpopo Shulzkanala KwaZulu Natal Makwan Take Free State Natsa Kumalo Veterans League Sani C. Jake Veterans League. Members of the National Working Committee. The spotlight now falls on National Executive Committee as we delve deeper into its details. In December 2017, the 54th National Conference, held at Nasrec, elected ANC Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa to succeed Jacob Zuma as ANC President. It also elected a new NEC. In October 2019, 4 additional members were co-opted onto the committee. Leadership President, Cyril Ramaphosa Deputy President, David Mabuza Chairperson, Gwyd Mantash Secretary-General, Ismagashul Deputy Secretary-General, Jesse Duarte Treasurer-General, Paul Mashatal. National members of Apasai Bunjul Bessani Ruth Bengu Bongani Bongo Alvin Boats Fiso Butalazi Firas Kachulia co-opted 2019 Rosemary Kapabiki Seal Sindisai Chikanga Barbara Creasy Sai Bonga Quel Thoku Didiza Bathable Dlamini Sumo Dlamini Kosas and Dlamini Zuma Ayan Dlodlo co-opted 2019 Beauty Dluan Malusi Jigaba Ink Gobon Winapravin Gooden Mondli Gungable Derek Hankum Tina Jomet Peterson Kink Kikana Pinky Kekana Noxalo Kivit Zizi Copper Mamaloko Cube Ronald Lamola Dakota Ligo Dipu Letsetsi Dubazingus Olozi Sylvia Lucas Pure Maid Rejoice Mabufasi No Kemafidically Magadzi Tandi Mahambella David Molobo Colin Main Pemi Majudina Neva Makethla Thabang Makwitla Museum and Nanisava Mapasan Kakua Lindo Masika co-opted 2019 Candith Mashido Dlamini David Masundo Fumalo Maswal Joe Maswangini Ficum Balula Bali Kumbet Tito Mbawini Senzo Makuno Manium Fekito Originum Hall Lenjum Kais Twelling Kais Thandi Modus Nomala Mokanyan Edna Mulwa died 2018 Pinky Mulway and Jimoshega Marthal Moshega Aaron Motsaradi Jackson Thumbunathim Thethwa Faith Muthambi Joel Neshek Inzi Mating Kona Mashaban Bladensam co-opted 2019 Mildred Oliphant Nuddy Pana Jeff Raiden Goka Ramath Lodi Gwen Ramot Gopa Susan Shabang Linday Sasua Violet Sawa Pamela Shrit Tokazilk Sisa Tony Yenini Linday Zuru Mose Benzis 1. Ex officio members William Bowen Faze Jacobs Natso Kumalo Oscar Mabian Kea Madaxa Supra Mahum Pello Stanley Marthabathamoko Matuba Mandland Lovideshing Sangan Jabuon Zuza Hope Paposa Mani Saw Knox CB Cholzakalala Superzuma. Remember to follow me on social media for behind the scenes content and updates.